In this video, we're going to go over the construction of the header. Now, it's important to note that as you spend more time coding in HTML, what I'm about to show you will become more or less second nature and you can do it in your head. But when you're just starting out coding HTML, I've found that looking at it like how I'm about to show you is valuable. So you can see here that I've isolated just the header of the Apple homepage. If I zoom out, you can see that that header stretches from edge to edge. Now, what's important to realize is that if we're coding this header, we need to focus on all of the elements that make up the various layers of this header. So I have my layers panel open, and you can see here that I've made a variety of different rectangles. Well, the first of those rectangles is the container for the entire navigation that's part of the header. So this might be, for example, the nav. And inside that nav is another container that, again, encompasses everything that the nav does, and that's an unordered list, because as you'll recall from the last project, all navs consist of unordered lists. And inside that unordered list are list items for each one of these 10 navigation points. So you can see here that we have a header, and inside the header, this blue box indicates the nav, and inside of the nav, this purple or magenta box indicates the unordered list, and then these yellow boxes indicate the 10 list items. So how do we code that? Well, if we go back to Dreamweaver, we can open up our header. So I'm just going to click right in between our two header elements, and I'm going to give myself a space. Now, we can see that inside the header, if we go back to Photoshop, inside the header, we have this blue box. Now, I can zoom in so we can see the colors a little bit better, but inside the header, we have this blue box. And that blue box, in this case, indicates the nav. So, in Dreamweaver, inside my header, I'm going to create a nav. Now, inside that nav, we have this purple box. And that purple box is actually my unordered list. So, inside of my nav, I'm going to put an unordered list. And inside that unordered list, you can see we have a variety of list elements. There's 10 of them to be precise. Now, I could go down through, because in each one of these list elements is a anchor tag to create a link. I could go down through and code each one of these one by one. It would look something like this. But that's going to take me kind of forever. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the entire unordered list to this point, and I'm going to use some special shortcuts to code the whole thing for me in one go. I'm going to start by telling it which element I want to create first. I want to create an unordered list. You'll notice I just typed UL. Now, inside my unordered list, so in order to indicate inside my unordered list, I'm going to use the caret. I want to create, and I'm using parentheses here, a list element in which there is an anchor tag, and I want to do this 10 times. So I'm creating an unordered list, and inside that unordered list is 10 list elements with associated anchor tags. And once I have this written just like I have it right here, all I need to do is hit Tab, and Dreamweaver will write all of the corresponding code for me. Once Dreamweaver's written all of this code for me, all I need to do is hold the Alt key and then select straight downward through these quotes. And then add a hashtag here in the hyperlink reference attribute. What this is basically saying is that inside of these list elements are links. Now, I could flip-flop back and forth between Photoshop and Dreamweaver to write in all of these links, or I can simply access the text.txt file. Inside the text.txt file, you can see that I have all of these links already built in for you. So I'm just going to copy them out using Command-C or Control-C or right-click and copy. And then I'm going to go back to index.html, and down here underneath my HTML tag, my closing HTML tag, I'm just going to post them into place. And then I'm going to highlight each one of them and drag them into the corresponding anchor tags. Now, if I've done everything correctly, I should be able to view this page now and see what it all looks like. So I'm going to open it up in Google Chrome, and I can see my real-time preview of my Apple homepage. And you can see that my Apple homepage now has links for all of these navigation items. Except there's a couple problems. You could see here that Apple has Apple text, and this search button has search text, and this bag button has shopping text. If we look at our Photoshop document, we can see here that that's not the case. Apple is just an apple, and this search is just a search, and this bag is just a bag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into Dreamweaver, and I'm going to place Apple in a span tag. Generally, I use span tags to hide things, like this text for Apple. The nice thing about hiding this piece of text is that I can't see it, but I'm not deleting it, so it will still be read by a screen reader for blind people. So I'm going to hit save, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to view my document. And you could see here that, just like I anticipated, it has hidden where it says Apple and just left the icon. Now I have to do that for these two over here. So I'm going to open this back up, and I am going to put a span tag around search and a span tag around shopping bag. And now you can see our header looks awesome. There's only one problem, and the thing of it is that you'd never see that it was a problem. But if we look closely at our text file, we can see that before all of our navigation points, we have this little piece of text that says, "Welcome to the Apple Store." Now, I'm going to copy it so that I have a copy of it. But the question is, where in this design does it say, "Welcome to the Apple Store"? And the answer is that it doesn't in any place that you can see. And that's because "Welcome to the Apple Store" is actually only there for blind people. So, inside of my header, I'm going to create a new element just after my header in which I put in H1 and then "Welcome to the Apple Store," and then close my H1 tag. This means that as H1 content, this is the most important piece of information on the page. And it's kind of important for blind people that maybe don't know where they've ended up to be told the second they enter this page, welcome to the Apple Store. That's just good customer service. And so when we go back to Google Chrome, we can see that that H1 tag doesn't display at all. If we go back to Dreamweaver and we look at the primary.css code, and I scroll up here to the top, we can see that's because I have chosen to turn off the display for the H1 tag, just like I've chosen to turn off the display for the span tag. Once we go through all of this, our header portion of this page is now complete.